Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2023, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. We have an awesome show for you today. How I shot 2 cruise ships with a Matterport Pro3 camera in 9 days. And here to tell us about that experience is Premier Images founder and president, Douglas Meyers. Hey, Douglas, good to see you. Thanks for being on the show, being our subject matter expert today.
Thank you, Dan. My pleasure to be here. Hi, everybody.
Douglas, before we jump into today's topic, tell us about Premier Images.
Premier Images is now 7 years old. I'm in North Carolina, Boone, North Carolina, and I service a bunch of the areas around here. I live on top of a mountain, so I go to Asheville, Charlotte, and Greensboro area, and also up here where the Appalachian State University is, which is Boone, North Carolina. I do Matterport, I do HDR photography. I'm an FAA drone pilot. Let's see, I do 360s, I do walkthrough videos. Almost a one-stop shop is the way I like to express myself in this business.
Awesome. And in a previous life, some entertainment experiences. And I think they actually might be relevant for today. So can you tell us about your previous life?
Well, before I got into the photography, which I've actually been doing now, real estate photography for about 16 years. And that's when I left LA 16 years ago. But I've been a performer since I was 17. I've been in 19 movies, 42 TV shows. If people want to look up on the IMDb, it's just Douglas Meyers, and you can see several of my shows. I played one of my fun characters was called Bizarro. I played Superboy's evil twin brother on the TV show Superboy from 89, 90, and 91. And that was a lot of fun. And I got a lot of my start from a character that I created back in 1987 in Miami, where I'm originally from. And that was called Mr. Silver. And I was the world's only robotic magician, and I painted myself all silver. So if you want to look up YouTube, look up Mr. Silver, the robotic performer, and you can see clips of my old shows and some of the TV shows that I've been on. Mr. Silver's been on Reno 911. Mr. Silver's been in Iron Man 3, all kinds of things for many years. So, yep, and I'm also a magician. And I was a cruise director for years with Royal Caribbean back in the 80s too, and that's how it's bringing us forward, because now the very first ship that I shot in 3D, the full ship, was the Grandeur of the Seas for Royal Caribbean.
Awesome. So in fact, as you walk us through your one of the 2 cruise ships that you shot, maybe you can even relate some of your cruise ship experience back to how that may be tied into this Matterport tour. I'm going to call up the one of the 2. Incidentally, I'll say to our audience, we're going to do a short walkthrough of one of the 2 ships, but you can see both tours in the We Get Around Network Forum, WGANforum.com. Go to the search box, just put in cruise ships, and you can go through the cruise ships at your pace. I'm going to just hit reload here so we can see the beginning of the fly-in of the ship. As I walk through this, how about providing some color commentary about shooting this ship using a Matterport Pro3 camera, Douglas?
All right, so let's start off first with the Pro3 camera. It was a great camera. I enjoyed, I use a Pro 1 that I've been using for 7 years, not even the 2, just the 1. It's been my standby, my go-to camera all the time. So the Pro3 camera worked really nice in here because I could move further apart. I took anywhere from 12 to 15 strides, not footsteps, but strides, a nice little walking stride in between each scan. So that made the scans much easier as far as the amount that I did. On the Grandeur of the Sea, I believe we did almost 900 scans altogether that put this together. And Matterport also did something so we had an issue because the stateroom hallways we could not shoot. We could not, they would not align. We'd do 2 or 3 scans in on a stateroom level, and then the next one would jump over to the back, and we just couldn't get it to align properly. So we could not do the ship in the full capacity that we wanted to, which would be going up and down each one of the stateroom hallways. So we were relegated to just doing the positions where, you know, the people can go, public areas. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry. So we got to do all the public areas, and within that public area, there's almost 900 scans in here. So what else? Doing the outside was great using the Pro3. I did have issues sometimes on the inside. Well, let me go back to, first of all, saying, if you are going to use a Pro3 camera, please get a new iPad or one that is, you know, that is updated, because I started using my older iPad and then my very first night, 187 scans in, and the app died. It just crashed. We never got it back. I had to go back and start using my iPhone 14 to do the rest of the grandeur of the seas. So I really suggest, you know, if you're going to get a new Pro 3, get a new iPad, or at least have one that's, you know, updated. I mean, I have a terabyte of storage and 16 gigs of RAM. So the next ship, when we did the Conquest, it went much easier. But we also did have a couple problems, and Matterport is working on it. I actually haven't used my Pro 3 since then, because at home here in North Carolina, I use my regular Pro 1 to do homes and everything, because with the classic account, it's cheaper to do hosting. But so when we did the Conquest and put all that up, the next ship was, you know, it was much easier, but we had areas that I will call a black hole or something. I don't know why, but my stepson Michael was helping me. He was on the ships with me, providing assistance, and he had exactly the same issue in exactly the same spot, and we never even talked about it, and the camera stopped spinning. So, and then we would move the camera for about 4, 5, 6 feet out of the way, to the left or to the right, and then after a couple more times, then it would start spinning again. So I'd get maybe another 100 spins in and get to another spot on the ship, and it would stop spinning. So we actually had to combine both cameras. We used both cameras, the original Pro and the Pro 3, on doing the cruise ships. So when one wasn't working, I had to use the other one.
So these 2 ships took you a total of 9 days. I think some of our viewers might think, oh, you got to go on some cruise ships. You must have had a great time. And this was a little bit on the side. No, this was like a full-time, at every moment you both were busy scanning.
Well, if we weren't scanning, I was also doing videos, because all the videos that are in the icons, most of them are all my videos. So when you're seeing the pool activities, that was the activities while I was there and what I shot. So we shot a lot of times, some of the public areas we shot from 1 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning when nobody was around. And then also we also had the cleaning crew was also aware of us. So if we asked them to, you know, take 5 minutes off, you know, they were happy to do that. So that's how we got a lot of this stuff without people in it. The other times.
And what about when you did have people? So I noticed that some are blurred, some are not blurred. How did you do the blurring? And then perhaps even how did your client react when perhaps all the people aren't blurred?
Well, we're talking tomorrow. So, but as far as the blurring, I just used the auto blur, you know, when I went in. So it said there are 1,200 blurs that we're going to do here, and go ahead and start. So I did that. Now, it's very hard to go through every one of those scans. You know, there was 900 scan points to make sure that everybody's blurred out. Now, if they come back to me and say, hey, a couple people aren't blurred out, then I'll go back and use the blur tool, and I'll find them and do it that way. But yeah, it seems to me, I think the people that are not blurred, really, you still can't even tell. You couldn't say, hey, that's Uncle Bob, you know, unless you knew his sandals or his shoes or shirt. But yeah, so it was easy enough just doing the blur afterwards.
Okay. So I noticed sometimes the ship is in darkness and sometimes it's in daylight, and sometimes you go from darkness to daylight. Can you talk a little bit about when you shot, why you shot when you did, where you shot when you did? I'm thinking of ports.
So the inside. So when I shot at night from 1 to 5 in the morning, then we'll say I was in the lobby. So the lobby goes out to one of the decks. So I needed to connect that because tomorrow, when I want to go shoot the decks, when we're in a port and it's nice and it's pretty outside, and most of the people are off the ship, then I have a connection point. That way I didn't have to open the doors, and people would be in the lobby and all that kind of stuff. So when I shot all the lobby at night, then I just did my connection point going outside. So a lot of the doors, when you go out the first door, it might be nighttime, and then when you click over one more to the left or the right, then it goes into the daytime, and showing the beautiful ports that we were in.
Was there any trouble, challenges connecting inside daylight to out the inside looking out with a nighttime shot, stepping outside now in daylight? Was the transition a problem for any reason?
Not at all. I didn't.
Not at all.
Didn't find anything. It just, the Pro3 just picked it up and just kept going.
So it sounds like your client was okay if there was people in the shots, because there are people in the shots, but you did most of the shooting that you could at night for the interiors, and you did as much of the decks when you were in port. Is
Correct.
that?
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So that was your strategy to say, oh, okay, we want to minimize the number of people. Let's shoot from, and what time of night? Is it literally 2 to 6 in the morning, 2 to 5?
At 1 to 5, anywhere from 12 to 1 to 5, depending on how, because a lot of time, well, first of all, I was a cruise director back in the early 80s. So I think it really gave me a unique perspective to get on board ships, because I know how to deal with everybody. I know what the timing of, dinners and theater and all that kind of stuff is, and where I could be and where I couldn't be at that time. So spending, 5 years on cruise ships back in the day, was really important for this, because I knew what needed to be shot. And I also know the other aspects too that we'll probably get into later on, which would be taking some of this and doing training virtual tours for some of the cruise lines for their new employees that are coming on. They'll be able to do walkthroughs and see videos and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll come back to that if you don't mind. I'd like to stay on, because your perspective as a cruise director. I've been lucky enough. I think my wife and I have been on 7 cruise ships, including RCCL, including Carnival. The theater generally is a majestic, huge, beautiful space, but I imagine that it's often busy either with rehearsals or events or performances. So how did you coordinate having the space empty?
Well, again, from 12 o'clock at night to 5 in the morning, most everything on that ship other than the nightclub is going to be empty and clear. I'd say the difference would be if so when I was in some of the dining rooms and I was shooting it at night, you're not going to be able to see out those pretty windows, So other than that, I mean, I relegated a lot of it to, working late at night when nobody's around, and then trying to do the deck shots and things like that when we were in port, when most of the people were off, because even during the day and at night, it's not pretty, doing the decks. I mean, I can do a little bit. When you do the pool area, you can, there's usually a big movie screen up there, and then there's the lighting that's pretty at night. So that's why I kind of tried to do that double shoot, where you get a little bit of seeing some of the deck at nighttime and all the pretty photos, and then it goes to the daytime stuff.
Well, even when you did the theater spaces, they were all the chairs were in place. I didn't see any trash. So were you coordinating with a cleanup crew to be in these spaces before you actually moved into those spaces?
Well, as soon as we get on the ship that very first day, I have a meeting with the hotel manager, and we go over all of the aspects. I have a shooting schedule that I already anticipate before I even get there. So I, just look at all the deck plans, and I go through it one by one and say, this is what I need to do this day, this day. So I have a little schedule that I give to the hotel manager, and then we go over everything to make sure that the shop manager knows that I'm coming Tuesday night at 10 o'clock for a half an hour, that the bar, hotel, the bar manager knows that I'm going to this bar, then that bar. So, they have everything set up pretty nice, and the dining rooms too.
Because everything looked like it was set
Hmm.
for you, that it was, I would describe it as a hot set, that it was exactly the way it should be for a photographer to pass through. So that wasn't an accident. This wasn't like, oh, I'm going to wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm going to go. No, you had coordinated where you would be, when you would be. So as you said, the bartender would have the bar area looking nice, the theater to be pristine. Did you run into any challenges where you were supposed to be someplace and you got locked out? And, I'm thinking maybe the spa, you went to go do the spa and it was closed and now you had to go find somebody to let you in.
Yeah, I would say there might have been a couple spots like that throughout, like the kids' nightclub one night. And basically, all you do is just find somebody in security that's usually hanging around, and just either if they don't have a key, they'll get a key. But again, since the entire ship, excuse me, knew that we were going to be there, things were understood. If we,
So the key on a cruise ship was the hotel manager.
yes, very much so.
And I wonder how that went, because even though you were on Royal Caribbean cruise ship, a Carnival cruise ship, I don't believe that your client was actually either RCL or Carnival. So can you speak a little bit about your client and then maybe how that got coordinated with the cruise ships for permission to do what you were doing?
So how this all got started is, I think 4 or 5 years ago, my wife and I were on a cruise with MSC, and I did a sample. I was on there and I didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew anything. I just went on with my Matterport and shot late at night and did two things. And we went to a cruise ship convention shortly after that, and this went over everybody's heads. So I just left it online, and probably, I think it was late October, the company called cruisebound.com, they called me, and they had found the sample of the MSC cruise, and they said, we would like to talk further about possibly doing this. And then I said, well, if we're going to do this, we need to do two ships as a sample. So because it just wouldn't work with one, let's do two. And Cruisebound is a little over a year old, and they're like Expedia, kayak.com, they just sell cruises. So they asked me, so we decided on these two ships. These two ships were they're two of their best selling ships. That's what they wanted to use. So that was the Grandeur of the Sea and the Conquest.
And why two? Why not just one ship? Why did it take two?
Because I wanted to get the cobwebs out. If one wasn't going to be, I just saw one just being like oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But if they're going to put money into doing two ships, then it's worth it to me, because I also wanted to buy the Pro3 camera with, proceeds that I got from this job, and in which I did. So, so I just thought it would be much better if we had two ships to choose from, and two different companies to see how it works. And then they coordinated on their side with Royal Caribbean and Carnival, and they were all about it. Matter of fact, the head of Royal Caribbean just got back to me the other day and just said, wow, what a fantastic job. I'm sending this off to everybody in the company. So that was
congratulations. I hope it turns into a ton more business, particularly since now you've developed the oh, well, now I know if I'm going to do this again, what works and what doesn't work and why, I would imagine.
Sure.
Do you like it? I just can imagine you have this sample that you did on your own while you and your wife were on a cruise. I could just imagine how that conversation went. Oh, I just want to bring another piece of luggage, and it's just going to have my Matterport camera in it, and and I'm gonna like, don't mind me, but at 3 a.m, I'm going to sneak out of the room and I'm going to go find a space. And then you go to a cruise convention, and were you just totally blown away that they they couldn't conceptualize this would be a useful, helpful tool to them?
Oh yeah, I mean, we bought a nice big TV with a touch screen, so I had the tour, on a 60-inch TV, showing that off and talking, and I think the company put us in the wrong, the convention people. I think they put us on the wrong floor because we just didn't have that enough walk through. But the people that came by, they thought it was very cool, and that was about it. So that was all very disappointing. So, now to come back 4 years later and it's coming back into fruition, and somebody's actually saying, hey, this is cool. Matter of fact, if this goes well, right now, Cruisebound has this on their website, and they're doing, a test to see how they want to convert it into sales, of course. And if it works out well, it turns out, then we're talking 50 to 100 ships after that.
That would be awesome. I should say, because I just could imagine there's a number of photographers who are going to raise their hand and say, we can help you with that. We can help you with that. Douglas's website is www.PremierImages.biz. That's P as in Paul, REMIER, images.biz. And in the We Get Around Network forum at Douglas Meyers. DOUGLASMEYERS. I imagine that if you get that order, you're going to need some help with some other Matterport service providers that have Pro3 cameras.
They've already said that. They said, if this goes, you better hire more people. And I said, all right, well, I'm on it.
Because I would imagine when they say, yes, we would like more ships, they don't want a linear Douglas doing one a week for the next 3 years. They want their ships like pronto.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, tomorrow, actually, we have, unfortunately, the lady that I've been dealing with at Cruisebound has gone through a lot of family issues in the last 3 weeks, her mother and stuff. And so now she's just now getting back into the office. And so we're going to sit down tomorrow and really hammer out the rest of this. Because one of the other things that we're probably going to be doing is I'm going to start breaking the tours down. I've actually already done it. So there's one now, just the fine dining steak restaurant so I'm going to start breaking those down. So when people go to their website and start looking, they don't necessarily have to go through the whole ship. If they want to just see, the lobby area, so we'll probably do 7 to 10 specialized areas for each ship. Some people can just fly right into and see those.
So that's awesome. So that might be one for every restaurant, might be the theater, might be the disco, might be the pool areas, it might be the spa area.
Correct.
Does Cruisebound.com, does Cruisebound, in addition to selling cabins, also do the add-ons like spa, upsell to restaurant, a paid restaurant?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think they get a cut.
But it's something that they want in order to help a prospective cruiser, that's the right word, to make a decision about that particular ship.
Right.
Do you find it?
Now, if you go to most any cruise website, all you're going to see are a few photos of the pool, a couple bars. Some people have done a few 360s, but the information to view a ship that you might possibly want to go on is almost nil. They really I don't understand. They almost really don't care.
It's very interesting because my wife and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary on a cruise just prior to COVID, and we did get a upgraded suite, nice room, celebrate our anniversary. And the amount of visuals that there were to understand that space and to say, oh, well, what's the difference between this cabin, this suite, this cabin, it was very hard. There are, at least at the time when we were looking, there were no 360s, certainly no Matterport. And you're looking at maybe some tightly edited beauty shots, but you can't understand the space.
Right. No.
So it's surprising. And if you're going to spend a few $1,000s to go on a cruise for a week, it seems like you might want to have some visuals to help tell the story to make a confident decision. You did these ships, but you didn't do the staterooms. You didn't do the cabins.
So I didn't do the cabins. I did the cabins in 360, but I didn't use them. I liked the video that I did better. It's a walkthrough video. So when you go into each one of these cruise ships, the very first you're going to land on the lobby, and off to the left, there are little purple icons. Those will be videos of the staterooms that you can see. Now you can see them. So, again, this was working out the bugs and everything. And since I didn't do the staterooms because I couldn't go down the hallway to connect them. And then I realized later, well, I could have done them individually and they would be in their own separate links. So that's kind of a question for tomorrow with Cruise Bound. Do you like the videos, or do you think we'd like to, for the next time, go back in and actually do a 360? And I like the videos because it gives, because I did some of them when we were out at sea. So I actually did a nice, out the porthole, looking out at the beautiful ocean and then pulling back in, showing the room, which I can't do in Matterport.
Did you provide color commentary, going back to your experience in entertainment?
No, we just put music to it. They didn't want any voiceover, so they just a little music. It's fine.
Okay, so cabins. Frankly, I'm going to guess if you were asked to have done every cabin type, there probably wasn't enough time, and the changeover from guests leaving the ship at 8 a.m. and guests coming on the ship at 4 p.m. gives you a really super tight window to try and do staterooms.
Well, and that was part of the reason, because the second ship, the Conquest, when we did that, we got on at 8 o'clock in the morning and we started shooting at 9. They had, because they already knew we were coming, so they already had the 5 staterooms cleaned and ready to go. So all I had to do was walk in and do some nice little quick video. And I also did 360s, but yeah, we shot, actually it only took us, they're inside a cabin, you get 3, maybe 4 spins on a Matterport. So, doing the 5, it only took us about 2 hours to do those 5 cabins, if that. So we started working the moment we got on board.
How many cabin types do you think there are on a typical ship?
Averagely, I would say 5 to 6 different stateroom types.
That's it. So that would be enough to make a confident decision. Your bathroom may be a backwards mirror image facing the other direction than what you shot, but it's going to be the same look, feel, square footage.
All of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose it's still missing the exact view. So if you're really getting a specific suite with a balcony, with the view, well, I guess it's going to be the ocean. So, well, not always. It actually could be an obstructed view.
Well, I had to be creative too on this one, because when we shot the Conquest and we started shooting at 9 in the morning in Miami, we were in port. And when we did the larger suite with a larger balcony, when I came out back and opened the door, there was another cruise ship facing us. So, if you did Matterport there or anything, when it spins, you're just going to see the ship there. So in the video, what I did is I videoed the whole room. And when I got to the balcony, I started low on the balcony and started coming up. And then I took a different balcony shot when we were out at sea and spliced that together. So it looked like, so when I started to pan up, it looked like it was this, it should have been that view.
Yeah, so it wasn't the competing cruise ship going by.
Right. So
The
it
beauty
was,
shot of the competing
right.
cruise ship going by.
Yeah.
For the most part, you shot this with the Matterport Pro3 camera. I heard you say you used the Matterport Pro1 camera in certain places for certain problems that you're still not quite sure what caused it. Could you have done the entire project with a Matterport 1 camera?
I mean, I could have, but the outside stuff would have had to have been shot very early in the morning or late in the evening, and that would have been really taxing because, the amount of scans I might have gotten in before the sun set, would have, I mean, it's possible, but I'm glad I had the Pro 3.
I'm thinking three challenges. One is daylight, solved with the Pro 3. Two was the distance that you could put between scans and have them be successful with the Pro 3 versus a Pro 1 or Pro 2 camera. And three, I'm just guessing, but that Pro 3, maybe I'm wrong, was the Pro 3, did you feel like it's more reliable in stitching from one scan to the next to the next to the next at that greater distance versus trying to use a Pro 1, Pro 2 camera? And
I mean, well, there was a trial and error period, as soon as I'm getting out there and trying to, especially when I was on the decks and especially in the after, the daytime part, but it did connect very well. I mean, I had very few misconnections, if so, I was either just a little too far out or around a corner, something that it just didn't see the last one. But I think the Pro 3, it worked very well for me other than when it stopped scanning.
and do you have, I mean, was it related to mirrors or windows or glass or?
When they stopped scanning?
Yeah.
No.
Could it have overheated because you were going for a long period of time?
No, because it wasn't that big of a big deal at the beginning, but I would say one of two things. Either it was a software error, which they have now done two firmware updates since then, and they keep calling me and saying, "Is it working now? Is it working?" And I haven't used it yet, but I will. And the other thing is, it's possible that some of the areas on the ship, like I said, it could be a black hole. It could have been an area that right underneath me was all kinds of Wi-Fi or electronics or radar and things like that. I mean, those could have thrown off the signal inside the Matterport.
Yes, we've actually had some reports in the We Get Around Network forum, even going back, I want to say 7 or 8 years, where a Matterport service provider ran into the issue where there was so much electronics in the space. That was everyone's conclusion about why there was some challenges.
Well, I did the Dolly Parton Hotel a while back ago, and everything went great till I went downstairs to a bottom level, and it took me twice as long to do the bottom level because of that kind of issue. So, yeah, I think that's what it could have been.
So did you solve it just by scanning closer together?
Well, once I found the black hole, it was then moving it 5 to 6 feet, out of that hole, finding my connection point, and then just moving on.
Okay, got it. Good to know. We've talked about people. We talked about blurring people. We've talked about the sun. I presume that was not an issue at all with the Matterport Pro 3 camera.
No.
The distance in terms of your paces. Did you feel like the time that you blocked out to do each of the levels that you did a good job predicting, or like, oh, there was a lot of learning about actually how many floors you could do in a day?
No, I mean, I had enough time. The first ship was 5 days, and then the second ship was 4 days. And the 4-day one, I'm going to tell you, I think that is the shortest amount of time I'll never do a 3-day cruise and get a full ship. So I had enough time. And like I said, since I was a cruise director and I've been there and done that for so many years, I knew how the flow of a cruise ship works and how the people there work. And my working with them was easy peasy because, I'm a performer. I was a cruise director. I know how to talk to them. They know what to expect, and they saw the sample that I did, and they just went, "Oh my God, we want that. So what can we do to make your job easier, Douglas?" So that,
Isn't that awesome? So,
yes.
so you actually did a little show and tell with the people on the ship to
Mhm.
help get them excited about what you were going to do to help open doors, get things to look right, nice,
Mhm.
and be available when you needed to
Correct.
be scanning. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And both ships, both companies, I mean, everybody on board they were so nice and so helpful. I mean, I have to, tip my hat to all of them. They were great crews on both ships, and I appreciated that.
Always helps to work with a nice client that is excited about what you're doing and helping make things happen.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think were some of your like learnings? You've mentioned it sounds like you would never do a cruise ship again unless you had the fastest, latest iPad that had the most memory and had the fastest processor on it. That seemed like it was a really good learning. What else was your takeaway of like, okay, when we go do our third full cruise ship, we're going to check that box. What else?
Oh, what else? I don't know. I mean, I think I had it pretty much under control by the time I finished the second ship. And, I mean, Matterport's not a science. We just go out there and kind of scan. And so it's just knowing your what you're shooting, And I already knew. I go over those deck plans, one by one. When I get a deck plan, I actually start counting how many scans I think it's going to take me to do that area. So I know that on an average now, an average size ship is each deck could be anywhere between 40 to 50 scans. So I mean, I've learned those things. I've learned that that I want to continue shooting late at night, but I also might try to see if I can, like I said, some of the dining rooms, they have beautiful back windows, and you kind of like to be able to see out there. So I might start adding a little bit more spice by doing some of the nighttime and daytime things. But the hardest part about that is when you're going in to watch the virtual tour, you don't know you clicked on this one and you're in daytime. Well, you don't know that you can click over here and go to the nighttime one unless you do an icon and blah 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 and say that. So some of that, I think sometimes icons are a little bit of an overkill. I hate seeing something that's like a ship. Like I don't know how many I think I have. I have 45, I think, icons on one of the ships. I would hate to see 80. That would just be like, to me, that would just be overkill. So, doing the nighttime and the daytime shots are.
How about in terms of post-production? You obviously did a lot of matter tags. You still had a lot, and you had some with video, some with GIFs, some with photos, some with text. How do you even have a conversation with the client about that? Did you just say we'll do what we think makes the most sense, and then you can kind of critique and comment on that?
No, I actually, we went the other route, and I told them, if you give me a complete rundown of where, all you have to do is say, the deck 5 is lobby, and you want the lobby, and tell me the description and show me the picture or the video that you want. And they did a great job of doing all 45. I mean, I had deck 5, deck 6, deck 7. So all I really had to do was just go in and decide where I wanted to put the icon in that venue. And then I already had her description and my video or photos that she wanted. So they made it quite easy for me, which was great.
Okay. And it sounded like they were perfectly fine with user-generated content, your content, as opposed to giving you video that they shot.
Well, they don't have, I mean, some of the videos that I didn't do are videos from the cruise line themselves. And they're pretty much generic, kind of stuff. Like there was one in the casino, it was a quick gift to people gambling real quick. But so it's not the casino that we shot, but it was just a casino, in general. So whatever I didn't cover or we didn't get as far as video wise, we just filled it in. They filled it in with either pictures or a little video from the cruise line itself.
Talk to us about use cases. So I kind of get it that you could use this to help make a decision to book a cruise on one of these ships. What are some of the other use cases that you anticipate that either cruisebound.com will use this for, or I think you started to talk about training related to the cruise lines themselves.
Well, I don't think, I mean, Cruisebound will only use this as generating more sales for them. And what we're going to talk about tomorrow in my book is how to get this. My opinion, I think they're doing a disservice to themselves by the only way you can find this tour through Cruisebound right now is if you go to their website, of course, and you say, I want to take a 5-day cruise in the Caribbean out of Miami, and they're going to show you 4 different cruises, and one of those cruise ships is Conquest, and then you click on it, and then once you click on it, it says, would you like to see this in 3D or, a virtual tour of the ship? So that's one concept that I need to talk to them about tomorrow about I think this needs to be more viral because we need to get people excited about going and looking at the cruise ships on these.
Yes. Douglas, you published the 2 tours to the We Get Around Network forum. Would it be possible for you to come back and add a direct link to cruisebound.com, a deep link that gets you to that 5-night cruise on RCCL's Grandeur of the Seas or the Carnival Conquest 4-night, so you can see it in the wild?
I think so. I'll look at that when we finish up here and see if I can.
Okay, that would be awesome. So that said, if you want to go to cruisebound.com and see if you can find it, the first one is RCCL's Grandeur of the Seas. GRANDEUR of the Seas. And is that a 5-day, 4-night?
That was 5 nights, 4 days. Yeah, 5 nights and 4 days, whatever, something. A 5-day cruise. The
5-day cruise, so 4 nights, 5 days. And the other one is Carnival's Conquest, CONQUEST. That would be an interesting question about whether you can even find it on cruisebound.com. One would think it would be on the front page as a way to tease taking the tour of a 5-day experience.
The first issue that they would have with that is they don't have what I would call a website page. Their front page, all it does is says, you want to go on a cruise? So where do you want to go? Where do you want to go out of? How long do you want to go? So there's no way of looking at anything else because it's like I said, it's like Kayak and Expedia. There's only places to fill in where you want to go and what you want to do. And then they start, bringing down to the ships.
We'll just at least say to our viewers, save some money, go to cruisebound.com, and it's like Kayak for cruise ships.
Correct.
Okay.
And so to finish off the other question so what else I can do with this is I also see this for training for the cruise lines themselves, because I said, being on board cruises, I've seen so many people, new employees come on, have no idea where they're going and kind of what they're doing. So we might, we'd be able to do a background, show how from behind the scenes, going into the where they do all the cooking, where they do all the background stuff and do those kind of tours just for the cruise lines, just for training purposes.
That's cool. And to be clear, the 2 ships that you did Matterport tours of do not include the behind the scenes. Frankly, even as a person who's been on a cruise, I would find it interesting to be able to, go see some spaces that perhaps were not
you're not allowed to go into.
Not allowed to go, or it's not practical for them to bring thousands of people into a particular location on the ship.
And we talked about that, like possibly going up to the bridge, possibly going down to the engine room, few simple things like that too. So that might be on the next ship.
And that might actually be a different client for you, because that might not be cruisebound.com. That might be the cruise ship itself. So that's interesting, because it's opening up some doors for you, having now done the tours. of two major brands, RCC, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and Carnival, that may just open up some doors for some other kinds of business opportunities. Training is one.
Even if we just go to with Cruisebound and do it again, the next ship I go on, I'll talk to the hotel manager and get behind some of that so I can show what I can do to another cruise line later on. So if they don't get it yet, I'll make sure they understand it later on.
I know there's a lot of interest in when you publish the two cruise ship examples to the We Get Around Network forum. Do you think this is something that, oh, well, I've been shooting Matterport for 5 years. I have a Matterport Pro3. I'll just contact the cruise ships. This is really because of your understanding of the business, your relationships that you've developed over time. I could imagine that if someone really wanted to do a cruise ship, they'd probably be more likely to do it for your company, Premier Images, rather than trying to figure out how to do it on their own.
Well, I can tell you this, when the cruise ships first saw this, 4 or 5 years ago when I did that and they didn't get it, this is now starting the ball rolling. So, they can, the cruise line can go out and get, any Matterport person they would want to, but if I would assume that if they were going to reach out to somebody, they'd reach out to the company that's already done 3 ships, two full ones and a sample, and knows the ins and outs of a ship. I told Cruisebound I was uniquely qualified to shoot this for them. And I also did, while I was on there, I also did training videos for when I go to the next level, and hopefully I can hire some extra Matterport people. I have created some videos that explains what I'm doing and how I'm doing it on board ships.
So. There does seem to be it may not be obvious. You just think, oh well, okay, I'm going to go down. I'm going to go do this space. Well, okay, you might be halfway through doing the theater that looks empty, and all of a sudden here comes an event that if you're not coordinating with the hotel manager on ship, that you're going to be in their way and you're not going to get what you want. So it sounds like because you were a cruise director, that you spent a lot of time on cruise ships, speaking the language of the hotel manager. That probably just gave them a lot of confidence in the shorthand conversation you could have and the way that you asked the questions.
Yeah, I think so. And also when I was talking to the head person at Royal Caribbean and then Carnival, they also understood that I knew what I was talking about going on board ship, how to get it done, what time to shoot it, where to shoot it, so they understood too that my knowledge was what they needed.
Do you think there'll be a possibility, instead of saying, okay, you got 5 days to shoot this ship, that they might put you on the ship for 2 full cycles, so that when you do shoot the outdoors, it's not a cloudy day. When you shoot the outdoors, because when I look at your tours, I go, oh, well, that's interesting. There was a rainstorm in the distance on that particular tour. Wish that, because that's not typically what you tell people when you go on a cruise. It's always sunny, it's nice, it's beautiful, but there's the rainstorm coming.
Yeah, it's the Caribbean.
do you think that or it's okay, it is what it is, and that's the story that we captured it as it was?
I think at this point it is what it is. I mean, if it was a horrible rainy day and I didn't, it would really depend. I mean, on a 3-day cruise, I would have to say I need to be on here for two cruises to get what I want and do it right. Anything a 4 and a 5-day cruise, if I missed, say tomorrow we're in Grand Cayman and it's just a rainy day and that was my day to shoot the decks, and then the next day, is a day at sea. I mean, those are the kind of things you have to juggle and kind of learn. I don't know that they would put me up for another cruise just to take one more, shot of that to make it look nice, because you can always take some video and do the icons and show a video, of what a Caribbean island, it's pretty and what it looks like, normal and not rainy.
Did the cruise director make any announcements about what you were doing or documented in any newsletter that went under doors? Hey, just want to let you know.
No, that's a good question though, but no, they didn't tell anybody, because it was really funny. I had this one old guy. So he was in the part of the buffet when I was coming through the buffet, shooting that during the day. And as he was sitting, he kept looking at me. And then I went out to the pool area straight after that. And then he moved out to the pool area and then he walked right up to the camera. I swear it looked right in the lens. He goes, "What is this thing?" And I said, "Well, sir," I said, "I'm just shooting a 3D virtual." "Well, I hope I'm not in it." And I said, "Well, sir," and he goes, "If I am, I'm going to have you arrested." I said, "Arrested for what?" And he just walked away, and that tickled me pink, because I think if you tell everybody, if you put it out there, people can start saying, "I don't want to be in it. I don't want this," and because they don't understand the blur effect and that you won't be seen.
Okay. I know I was out doing some Google Street View, and I was going to be in a park. I got one of those yellow construction things, vest, and I put it on, and somehow that made me look official, and people just left me alone. That was how I kind of solved what you're describing. Was wearing a yellow vest. He must be official.
Well, I always wear
clear of the guy with the vest.
I always wear my shirt, so it's got my name on it and everything, and I'm always dressed professional, and so is my stepson. And so and the good thing about the Pro3 camera is that it goes so fast. It's 20 to 30 seconds or so, that I'm before, when you look over and you go, "I'm going to go ask him a question," I've already moved. So I didn't get too many people asking me what was I doing. I got some, but not too much. And that was the only guy that had a problem with it.
So if you were the cruise director and you were going to make an announcement, let's hear a 30-second description of what's about to take place by Douglas Meyers, with the president of and founder of PremierImages.
I can't hear you. You didn't move.
So let's see, you froze, and
they'll be shooting in and around. There you are. They'll be shooting in and around the crew. Oh, did you catch me, or should I start over that?
What I'd like to ask you is that since you were a cruise director in your previous life, let's hear your PA announcement for 30 seconds talking about PremierImages founder and president Douglas Meyers and what he's going to be doing on the next 5 days on this RCCL Grandeur of the Seas ship. Maybe we'll turn you into an entertainment experience.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be 30 seconds or tell them that much. It would be more like, "Ladies and gentlemen, this week we will be having a film crew on board ship. They will not be getting in your way. They will be just filming all of the fun and activities that are on board ship. No one will be recognized, and we hope you enjoy the cruise." Simple and sweet. I would have done it.
So Matterport Pro3 camera, you've obviously have used it a lot. Other than the fact that your Matterport Pro1 camera is part of the Matterport Classic plan pricing, which is no longer available to anyone going forward. That's 2019 and before. If you had a choice, would you be shooting all your properties with a Matterport Pro3 camera if you didn't have that? It's less expensive with the Classic plan issue.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm still looking for. I haven't done a Matterport Pro3 outside. I've done an inside, but because I live in the mountains, so sometimes it's hard to go around the house. So I'm looking forward to the first time I can actually do that and get that nice dollhouse view. But yeah, I would use the Pro3 for everything if the pricing was a little bit more easy on our budget.
Pricing being the Matterport cloud pricing plan,
Awesome.
which is way different for classic versus the current pricing. Are you happy that you bought the Pro3? If you had to buy it again, would you still would you tell people, oh, I was happy with the Matterport Pro3 camera, buy it?
I was very happy with the Matterport Pro3 camera. For me, again, it's the hosting, as far as that's concerned. I would love to use it for everything because, matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a house in another month that I've done before. I mean, it's a 12-bedroom home with a pool. I mean, an Olympic-sized pool, and the pool house itself is like a 2,000 square foot house out of the pool. So now I can do the house, I can do around it, I can go to the pool, I can go outside. So yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but you also have to upcharge a little bit more because even if I was on the classic plan, it's still taking me more time to do.
So the more important question about that house, Douglas, does the homeowner need to adopt any children?
Right? Exactly. There you go.
1,000 square foot pool house. I love it. Before we say bye, is there anything that we haven't discussed about doing cruise ships that you go, oh, I really wanted to talk about da-da-da?
No, nothing. I mean, first of all, you said earlier, it sounded like you had a fun time and everything on the cruise. We worked our asses off. There was only a few times that we took a hot tub late at night at 10 o'clock at night before going out and actually starting working, my stepson and I. But other than that, we worked a lot. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but it was exactly what I thought it would be when I got there and I started doing it. So, I mean, did I have fun? No, not at all. Was it interesting to shoot? Yes, it was. Would I do it again? Absolutely.
Awesome. Douglas, thanks for taking us on a cruise ship tour.
My pleasure, and thank you for inviting me on your show. I look forward to hearing from some of the people if they enjoyed it, and yes, there will be hopefully opportunities later on when Cruise Bound says, Douglas, let's go full force, and I can't do it all on my own, and my stepson will be helping me, but I'm sure there's going to be I'll be reaching out to a few people here and there.
Awesome. We've been visiting with Douglas Meyers. Douglas is the founder and president of Premier Images. You can find him at PremierImages.biz, also in the We Get Around Network forum at Douglas Meyers. And for Douglas in Boone, North Carolina, I'm Dan Smigrod in Atlanta, the founder of the We Get Around Network forum, and you've been watching WGAN-TV live.